Good evening, curious babies. It's Jeb. So this August, I read Freud's interpretation of dreams in detail. Honestly, it's one of his earlier works. Besides, there are many different versions circulating on the net. Maybe, I say maybe, it's not complex at all. So in this video, I try to revisit through three lenses: the Freud, the ancient East, and the modern science. We try to imagine this scene. One day, Freud sits down with an ancient Chinese dream interpreter, like a real old-school wizard. If they started talking about dreams, they would probably doubt each other's sanity. But the longer they talked, the more they will realize they actually have a lot in common. Today, we are diving in. What kind of information hides inside dreams, and can dreams really predict the future? It's a night. We should start a story first. This is an old story recorded in one of China's, the ancient China's earliest history books, the Commentary of Zhou. It's a bit like if Socrates' history of the Peloponnesian War met Machiavelli's The Prince, vivid storytelling mixed with deep thoughts about power, morality, and human nature. In 581 BC, the ruler in ancient China at that time was a Duke of Jing. We just call him Duke, yes, briefly. One night, the Duke dreamed he was sitting in his palace when a suddenly terrifying ghost appeared. Hair flying, eyes full of hatred, the kind of a look that says, "I'm here for revenge." The ghost's voice scraped like a rusty metal against the stone. "You killed my grandson. God has allowed me to take your life." Then the ghost punched open the palace gate. Imagine a modern horror movie jump scare. The Duke panicked and ran into inner chamber, but the ghost smashed with one blow. The whole building collapsed. Duke was buried alive in his own dream. He woke up screaming, drenched in sweat, heart pounding like crazy. The next morning, he immediately sent for the most famous wizard in the country. When the wizard arrived, Duke hadn't even spoken yet, and the man started describing the exact same dream. The ghost, the palace, the collapse, all of it. Duke was shocked. "Wait, are you part of my dream crew?" The wizard didn't answer, just signed and said, "Neither of us will live to test the new wheat this year." Duke's face went dark. He thought, "Fine, you can die, but why drag me into your combo meal?" Trying not to lose his temper, he gave the man a small reward and sent him away. A few months later, the new wheat ripened. Duke sat down a bowl of fresh wheat porridge and suddenly remembered that prophecy. He sneered, "Look, I'm eating it, delicious." Then he ordered the wizard to come see for himself. When the wizard entered the hall, he just gave Duke a calm look and said nothing. Duke, pretending to be casual, said, "Watch closely. See, I'm eating the new wheat." He picked up the bowl and suddenly clenched his stomach. Pain exploded inside him. He ran toward the royal toilet and never come out. His servants wait half an hour, assuming maybe constipation. When they finally checked, Duke had fallen into the toilet pit and drowned. The official record wrote it neatly: "Died from falling into a latrine." Then he became the first monarch in Chinese history to die of a bathroom accident. So yes, his dream did predict the future, and it also proved that fate sometimes had a sense of humor. Now you might think of another story, a famous one, Abraham Lincoln. Just days before his assassination, Lincoln dreamed he walked into White House Hall and heard crying. In the dream, he saw a coffin and asked the god, "Who's dead?" The god answered, "President assassinated." A few days later, it happened. Of course, maybe it was too much for political drama, but I'm a philo guy. And speaking of philosophies, in Plato's Phaedo, he described what Socrates dreamed before his death. Socrates said he had the same dream again and again through his whole life. A voice would tell him, "Socrates, make music and work at it." We have to make it clearly here. In ancient Greek, the word musike didn't just mean music. It meant the art of music, maybe poetry, philosophy, education, and even kind of a spiritual art. So for years, Socrates believed that dreams was simply encouraging him to keep doing philosophy, because to him, philosophy itself was the highest form of music. Only near the end of his life did he start to think differently. Maybe, he said, the dream wasn't about the melody at all, but about a deeper kind of harmonia, a tuning of the soul, where reason and emotion finally agree with each other. Some say it was a dream, others think it was his lifelong calling, and maybe in Plato's philosophy, there was never a difference. It wasn't a mystical prophecy, it was more like a reminder to keep the soul in tune, even when the body is about to stop playing. This is also why people often say that Socrates was fearless towards death. And about why he actually started writing real music and poetry in prison, that's another story. We'll save it from another video. Yes, I will tell the whole story with you. So, whether in ancient China, Greece, or US, people believed dreams could be spoiler for fate. Just like us today, people back then also wanted to figure out how dreams worked. So they each invented their own dreams algorithm. Eastern algorithm equal engineer on fate. In ancient China, dreams are tied directly to destiny, fate. People believed a human had two souls. When you sleep, one of your soul goes up to heaven to check in at the celestial office, while another stays behind breathing. Sometimes one of them overhears whispers about the future, and when it returns, it brings those spoilers back as dreams. That's why when someone dreamed their relative fell ill and the next day it actually happened, people didn't call it coincidence, they call it report from the traveling soul. Folk interpreters even made categories for dreams: direct dreams, reverse dreams, thinking dreams, fear dreams, happy dreams, prophetic dreams. The rarest and scariest was a direct dream. What you see is what you get. If you dream you fall into a pit, better stay away from pits. Simple logic. Dreams are dive trailers of fate. You don't need to understand, you just obey. Same algorithm for Western. Dream equal mind debugger. By the 19th century, Europeans stopped believing in heaven and started believing in the mind. Enter Sigmund Freud, the first psychiatric wizard in dream history. His book, The Interpretation of Dreams, claimed to reveal the last hidden curtain of the human mind. In his view, dreams weren't messages from God, they were your design in costume. If your dreams is flying, it's not your soul's ascending, it's your wanting to escape real life. If you dreams of snakes, well, In Freud's world, every dream means something. Dream about losing teeth, not dental issues, but fear of impotence. Dream of swimming, it's a login for the womb. Dream of murdering your boss, you want a promotion, or you just want to murder your boss. If you dreams of water, it's not good luck. It's your blender sending a memo. One of his famous cases was about a woman named Ima or Ima. It's okay. She dreamed her nephew died, then woke up terrified, thinking she'd curse him. Freud just smiled and said, No, you are not predicting this. You are expressing a wish. You want to see your ex-boyfriend again, and he only shows up at the funeral. So for Freud, dreams don't predict the future. They predicted how you replace you are. Dreams aren't Fate's language, but your instinct secret code. And of course, we cannot escape Carl Jung, Freud's friend and rival. Why he and Freud break up spiritually? Simple. Everything is about sex. You just haven't slept with a woman for too long. Get out! Cool, I'll talk to God. Jung believed that dreams go beyond personal desire. They connect to symbols shared by all humanity. For him, a snake doesn't just mean sex. It could mean the circle of life, eternity, or transformation. Dreams help repair inner imbalance, guiding you back toward wholeness. In short, the East says dreams are heaven's messages. Freud says dreams are your own messages. Jung says dreams are messages from humanity itself. No worries, if all that feels too abstract, let's talk about some real story, some scientifically story. In 19th century Germany, a chemist named August Keiko couldn't figure out benzene's structure. 6 carbons, 12 hydrogen. No matter how he arranged them, they won't form a ring. One night, dozing off by the fireplace, he dreamed that atoms were dancing. They spun and twisted, then formed a snake that beat its own tail, spilling a loop. He woke up, ran to his desk, and drew the structure, the benzene ring. Later he wrote, it's not mysterious that scientists comes from dreams. Dreams just help the brain finish what it didn't finish in the daytime. In other words, dreams are your unconscious inner working overtime. So if the dream really means something, there is another history in ancient China. Long time ago, there was a scholar. Okay, we just call him scholar. He came home after 3 years of study. In the day, he back to the home. His wife prepared a bath and a beautiful new pillow for him. That night, while she wasn't looking, he secretly swapped a pillow with her. The next morning, when the scholar got up, his wife's body cold, her chest bleeding, her family busted in. Accusing scholar is a murder, cause there is no sign of intruders, no weapon. The most logical conclusion: husband killed the wife in anger. Scholar cried for justice, but no one believed him. Tortured, he confessed. Then the case reached a top imperial investigator. We just call him Fu. He was basically the Supreme Court meets Sherlock Holmes. Fu studied the files and rounded some things off. When he questioned Scholar, his first question was, have you had any dreams lately? Scholar blinked. Yes, twice. I dreamed that I was riding a horse or crossing a river. The first time I reached the south bank. Then the second time I returned north. The third time my horse stopped in the middle and above the water. I saw 2 suns, one bright, one dark. Fu's eyes lit up. He already knew something. After he analyzed within Chinese some old classic archaeology, then he used something called character analysis. Water plus horse in Chinese is shaped as days. 2 suns shaped as days, so he put them together. That was the killer's name. But here's a kicker: no one recognized this name or man called Days. The investigators checked. Yes, the wife had been having an affair with a man named exactly Days. You know what happened? He snuck in the night, thought she was on the other side of a bed, stabbed through the wrong pillow, and killed her by mistake. Scholar was freed. Another man was executed. Now you could call fools a superstitious magician, but admit it, this dream analysis beats most detective novels. Put these two stories together, and you'll see dream can lead to discovery or deceptions, reveal truth or nonsense. Dreams are like the unreliable friend, sometimes genius, sometimes totally lost. But we still believe them because they made life skills feel like a part of a hidden script. Back to nowadays, when modern science arrived, dreams finally went under the microscope. In the 1950s, scientists used EEG, discovered something strange. During sleep, our brains enter a stage called REM, or rapid eye movement. At this time, brain waves look like a party. The emotion center lights up. Logic shuts down. Your eyes twitch widely under closed lids, and your body is paralyzed so you don't accidentally act out your dreams. REM or REM happens around 5 times per night. If you fall asleep at midnight, first dream around 1:30, second around 3, third 3:40, then 5 o'clock, and 6 o'clock comes the longer ones, 40 minutes or more. Those last two are usually the ones you remember. That's why lucid dreamers train to catch the false REM. It's the most accessible one. We'll talk about the dream control, the lucid dream in the next video. For now, scientists mostly agree. Dreams aren't mystical. They are just the brain's nighttime clear-up system, deleting useless information, rearrange memories. Basically, your brain runs a software update while you are asleep. Sometimes in extreme states, deep meditation, near-death experiences, the brain shows ultra-high or ultra-low frequencies. It's like overclocking a computer. Maybe that's what consciousness connected to something deeper. So maybe dreams aren't illusions. Maybe they are invisible updates. Dreams don't tell stories. They process data. And we, poor humans, mistake those fragments for meaning. Neuroscience now says dreams help consolidate memory, regulate emotions, and stimulate danger. In short, dreams do predict something. But what they predict is your emotional future, not your destiny. So, curious babies, from ancient Duke to Freud's coach to modern brain scans, humanity has used the 3 dreams algorithm. In ancient East, dreams were seen as an engine of fate, messages sent from heaven, previews of future written by the gods. Then comes the modern West, where Freud turned the telescope inward. Dreams become a mind debugger, not divine prophecies, but emotional error logs show what the heart tried to hide. And today, in the age of neuroscience, dreams are treated like a system maintenance, a narrow cleaner, no destiny, no hidden god, just the brain takes out its own psychological trash, sorting data to keep us sane. So across the time, the story of dreams moved from heaven to the mind to the algorithm, but the mystery never really left. None of them are perfect, but all of them work in their own way. When the wizard says dreams are fate, we feel calm. When Freud says dreams are repressed desire, we feel relieved. When scientists says dreams are just a brain something, okay, this one for you. Curious babies, I think it's enough for today. Also, it's late. Next video will go one step further. What if we don't just wait for a dream? What if we could build it? 拜拜。